Hello and welcome to another episode of Tai'Shar, a Wheel of Time podcast. I am Will.
And I'm Sam.
And we are here to continue our jaunt through Fires of Heaven. We're on to chapter 36, and Sam is walking us through, so why don't we hit the ground running?
All right, we're jaunting. Chapter 36, a new name. This is a fun chapter. I enjoy it. Elaine walks outside, runs into Tom and Julin, who hand her a silver arrow and ask the obvious question. Braid, silver arrow. Who is this random lady that we found outside your cabin, your wagon here? Also, Nynaeve is clearly depressed, blames herself, and we're going to have to deal with emo Nynaeve for a while, whether we like it or not.
Yeah.
So this all prompts Elaine to tell Tom and Julin pretty much as much of the truth as she can without revealing Brigette's secret. Finally, jeez, I've been keeping too much from him. Tells them about Moghedien, the world of dreams, that they're likely being hunted by the Forsaken, by the Black Aja. And she's like, you can go if you want. I mean, you didn't sign up for being hunted by the Black Aja. No one could be comfortable about the idea of being hunted by a monster out of myth. Of course, they're not going to do that, though. They're like, yeah, we're going to stay. You're good.
There's really nothing that scares off Tom and Julin. I mean, they're kind of both just kind of like up for whatever at this point, it seems like.
Yeah, for sure. Elaine goes back in, sees Nynaeve, whose feet are quite dirty, which is a fun detail. And so Elaine's like, wash your feet and go to sleep. And Nynaeve, sort of out of character, kind of protests, but does agree to do that. Elaine drifts off and has a dream about bonding Rand as a warder. The dream sequences, like the true dream sequences, are just like, sometimes I just kind of roll my eyes like, yeah, whatever. That's cool.
Well, I mean, in that case, it's an extension of the air quotes love story, which is continually the weakest thing in the books. I think most of the people who are fans of the books pretty much agree, because it's like two attractive people meet and they're in love.
They were destined to be together, and also he's destined to be with these two other ladies.
Right. It's all destiny, man.
Right, yeah, like especially with men. You know, she clearly is not happy about the whole situation. Like, darn you for being too great. I'm gonna have to follow you all over the place and fall in love with you. Like, oh, come on, not just leave a bad taste in your mouth.
Right.
So then Birgitte wakes her up and says she remembers everything. So that's something. And just kind of like she's so clearly distraught about being ripped out of the world of dreams, and, you know, like questionably, like, am I still bound to the wheel? You know, what about Gadol Kane is out there somewhere as a kid probably, and we don't know. I don't know where he is, and so he needs me. And so she's pretty upset. She asks if Nynaeve is okay, and she says, I've not seen anyone trust like that since the Turog took Marish.
Yeah, since that happened.
Right. Elaine must have looked confused. She's like, in another age. Sorry. It's going to happen a lot. Just get used to it. Elaine, and so that is a key fact that she, like, so normally when she's spun out into the wheel, she doesn't remember all of her past lives. But since she was ripped from the world of dreams, she does. She's like Matt. She remembers all of her past lives.
Right.
And so that is a difference from her normal life outside of the world of dreams. So Elaine tells her that she bonded her as a warder, and she's like, and I got to just go ahead and tell you, I'm accepted. I'm not an Aes Sedai. And Birgitte is grateful, and just kind of like, yeah, well, I'm going to keep your secret, but you better be nice to me. But then just kind of like, I'm just kidding. We'll be buddies. You saved my life. So that's that.
Birgitte, I mean, not so much in this book, but as in the books following, she is one of the shining parts of the slog. You kind of get to enjoy her character.
Oh yeah, she's fun character for sure. So Val and Luca shows up and starts issuing orders, and it is established that Nynaeve's emo attitude toward Birgitte does nothing to her fiery nature, you know, when others are concerned. So that's good.
Right.
Otherwise, it would just be unbearable. She is already unbearable, but at this point, I kind of prefer fiery Nynaeve to emo Nynaeve.
Right. And kids, emo is short for emotional. And if you didn't know, about 15 years ago, there was a subgenre of punk rock called emo, and kids that were into it often carried messenger bags and wore tight-fitting white T-shirts.
And often girl jeans. Yeah. It was a silly time.
Yeah.
So Luca asks Birgitte if she will paint her face and play a fool. She's like, no, I'm an archer. So seeing her braid, of course, he says, and I suppose you call yourself Birgitte. She responds by challenging Luca to an archery contest for 100 gold crowns. Luca storms off to get his bow. And I just love this whole thing. Brigitte says he has nice legs, but she doesn't like tall men or any with a pretty face because they're always insufferable.
Right. I love that her type is just short, ugly dudes. And part of the reason why is that I feel like I would be Brigitte's type.
Man.
Aw.
Gato Kane, I guess, it's like almost toad-like description.
Right.
So yeah, it's definitely clearly a thing. She's always finding those dudes.
Played by Ray Park, as we've
right, exactly.
We've established.
We have, yeah. It's gonna get out in the news. Luca draws a white X on a tree and walks 50 paces away and says, "I will take the first shot because I'm a good archer." Brigitte snatches the bow from his hand, walks another 50 away. I just can't wait for the scene. I just hope they do this just right. Goes through his arrows and keeps 4 of 21, just throwing them away. Puts 4 in the ground next to her. Then she knocks an arrow and shoots without appearing to aim, hitting the X dead center. The next hits the arrow right next to the first. Third splits the first in half, and then the fourth splits the second in half, which is like, okay, the first splitting in half might have been a fluke, but the second one's like, okay, she's legit, she knows what she's doing clearly. So at first, Luca is just dumbfounded, and then he jumps for joy seeing dollar signs when he realizes what she will do for his act, insisting that they paint her bow silver, which to like Nynaeve and Elaine's horror. And Brigitte kind of plays it off. She's like, paint will ruin an already shabby bow. Call me Marion. I was called that once. And she's like, and I want to dress like Nynaeve's. she wants to dress.
Yep.
The end of chapter 36 and on to 37, performances in Samara. Nynaeve, despite her protestations, is wearing the dress, covering herself up with a shawl so she doesn't show off the goods. Brigitte is also wearing the dress, but has no shawl. She says, if you're going to wear that dress, why cover up? You're a woman. Why not be proud of it? Jordan clearly does his best to empower women, even if he puts them in not so empowering situations. Getting back to the igloo thing, Avienda, was a bit of a victim up to that point. I mean, sort of walked in on her and she ran away, and then she wakes up and he's, cuddling with her, but then she takes back control. So, not exactly what you want, but it could have been worse, basically. I think his heart was in the right place.
Oh, yeah, she makes the move.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm sure feminists will have a problem with it still. I have plenty of problems with these books, and I get that. But all that to say, you got to hand it to Brigitte. Her attitude of, if you've got it, flaunt it. Could be worse. It's sort of empowering, if nothing else.
Yes.
Another point about this dynamic between Nynaeve and Brigitte. I thought nothing could be worse than Nynaeve the Shrew, but I kind of think she's channeling Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh at this point, and it's just objectively worse. She blames herself for Brigitte getting kicked out of Tel'aran'rhiod. Brigitte, of course, hates that because it takes responsibility away from her, and she chose to help Nynaeve in the first place. It's not like they forced her to do that, so doesn't like that dynamic either. I think we're all just ready for that bit of unpleasantness to be done. Get to the big show. The boar horses are balancing on 2 wool legs and draw the biggest crowds. But there's also the detail of Clarine's dogs have the smallest crowds, even though they're doing backflips. Dogs are doing backflips.
I'm just saying, I'd show up for that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that'd be pretty cool. Tom is juggling fire and eating it and doing his whole Gleeman thing. Nynaeve elbows her way to the front of the crowd at the tightrope and earns glares from a few married women when her shawl slips. And this happens repeatedly where married men will run into her and have wide eyes. Just apparently it's some dress. I don't know. Julian pretends to be drunk and kind of crawls across the rope. Then he realizes he left his drink on the other side and walks back across to get it while still either actually being drunk or pretending to be drunk, probably. So well played.
This actually sounds like a pretty entertaining bit, to be honest, for it's kind of a circus show thing.
For sure. Yeah, clearly Julian is embracing the role. So Elaine is channeling men a little bit, wearing a boy's coat and breeches covered in sequins. Apparently it's tight-fitting or whatever, because several times that comes up. Although she channeled when she did this for Luca the first time to get the job, so to speak, she's not going to do that now because they're worried about the Black Aja being on their tail. So in the meantime, she's actually learned how to walk a tightrope from Tom. Kind of crazy, but that she actually does it. She kind of walks back and forth, and she even does like a cartwheel and stuff. And one or 2 points, she seems a little shaky, but she does it and then Crowd goes wild. And hey, there's Uno. Uno in the crowd cursing up a storm.
Just sitting out there, eye patch.
And he says, fake face like a bloody queen, the one-eyed man muttered to himself. Burn me for a sheep-gutted farmer, but she's flaming well blave enough for a bloody queen. So Nynaeve sees him, and as he leaves, she runs after him. On to chapter 38. An old acquaintance. Just a disclaimer, I'm going to try to read as many of Uno's lines verbatim as I can get away with, because they're always excellent. It's just great.
They are great.
Nynaeve catches up to him, and so he realizes who she is, grabs her arm, and drags her through the entrance with zero explanation. Finally says, "Stop talking about the dragon, crazy lady," more or less. And he says, "Don't you know what these flaming goat heads are like? Half of them think the creator talks to him over bloody supper every night. The other half think he is the bloody creator." So then he says, "Oh, I do remember you. The one with the mouth. Reagan thought you could skin a bull at 10 paces with your tongue." He's like trying really hard not to curse, and he's struggling with it. But he immediately decides that she needs a rescuing, and he needs to get her out of the city, even though they barely know each other. They didn't really talk much the various times they've seen each other. Nynaeve asks what he's doing there, and he tells her that Moraine sent the Shienarans to Johanna to meet with one of her eyes and ears, except the lady they were supposed to meet is dead, and no one knew anything about it. So now they're just kind of following Massima, because he gives them, as the prophet, he gives them enough cash to live on, and they didn't have anything better to do.
Yeah.
Nynaeve realizes that Uno didn't curse in this entire story and looks ready to swallow his own tongue. So she's like, okay, just try cursing maybe every other sentence. I don't know, something. But then, of course, she's like, why does Massima have money? So then clearly Uno is pausing to count sentences, which is awesome. Why? He's the bloody prophet they've all come to hear. Would you like to meet him? The fact that Massima is the prophet is news to Nynaeve. So she knows it might be a mistake, but decides to take the risk because they've got to get a boat. They've got to get downriver and away from Moghedien and the Black Aja. So, whatever it takes to do that, she's willing to sort of take the risk. So once every other sentence, she reminds Uno, and he just can't help himself when he can't help himself. So he actually blushes, which is definitely want to see that happen in the TV show. So Nynaeve makes a beeline for the gate to go meet with Massima, even though, Uno's like, it's not safe in town. She's like, I don't care. I'm going to do this now. So chapter 39, Encounters in Samara, or My Name is Nynaeve's Random Adventure. It's just just at the menagerie, now let's go off an adventure in town. So the symbol, this is a side note, the symbol at the beginning of this chapter threw me off for a second. It's the dragon, which we usually see in a Rand chapter, but this is still a Nynaeve perspective. It's presumably because she's going to go meet with the prophet. Right. But it just kind of threw me off, like, oh, it's Rand. Nope, no, it is not. So anyway, Nynaeve and Uno walk into Samara, which is going a bit nuts because the White Cloaks and the Dragon Sworn are kind of all over the place. Reagan, who is just another one of the Shienarans that we haven't seen in a few books, joins up with them and recognizes Nynaeve a bit faster than Uno did.
Reagan, known for his very conservative economic views.
Exactly. And it's top knot. He says they will help her out, but he looks warily as if he expects a tongue lashing because he knows how she be. He remembers.
Yep.
So they're walking, they turn down an alley and encounter a bunch of thugs with clubs and spears, which are apparently Massima's guards. So Uno and Reagan ignore them. And it surprises Nynaeve to realize that the men guarding the door are not checking out her in her dress, which is real surprise given the responses she's gotten today. But they kind of have like a feverish look in their eye, like they're kind of fanatics.
They cray.
Yeah, it does seem true. I did love this detail. Beggars kept clear of Uno even after he tossed a few coppers to a wary pack of urchins, for which she did not blame them. The man just did not look charitable. That makes sense. They get to Massima's house, the place where he's staying, and the Shienarans hand their weapons off to the guard before entering and tell Nynaeve that there has been an attempt on the prophet's life. Nynaeve is confused because Massima is their friend, but Uno says that that's the only reason they get let in at all. And Reagan says, well, watch what you say for once and you'll get help. He'll help you out. So they're ushered in and catch the tail end of Massima's conversation with an elegant-looking woman who is asking him to basically stop his people from taking stuff and doing all kinds of rowdiness. Massima says that earthly justice doesn't matter, but if you really care, we'll cut a man's hand off for stealing, hang him for murder or rape. It's kind of a casual way to issue new laws, but he is the man in charge and he can do it. But so this is sort of says it all about Massima's state of mind. Is he says there's too much gold in the world, too much concern with gold. Massima's head swung angrily, not angry with her, but in general. He looked to be searching for those who concern themselves with gold, so he could unleash fury on their heads. The Lord Dragon has been reborn. The shadow hangs over the world, and only the Lord Dragon can save us. So, he's fanatical, crazy, maybe a little delusional, but also he kind of seems to want to help people. So he orders this lady to give up her jewelry, which she promptly does. Uno whispers to Nynaeve that every bit of it goes to the poor, which is cool. So Nynaeve does not watch her tongue at all. Again, prefer this Nynaeve to the emo one with Brigitte. Massima says she is too concerned with the flesh thanks to the dress, and she says that is none of your concern, and drops the shawl, covering her plunging neckline, which prompts Massima to go on a rant about thoughts of the flesh and how it distracts from contemplation of the Lord Dragon, but doesn't seem really directly mad with her.
Yeah.
So Uno tries to get things back on track, says, well, this is Nynaeve, and the Lord Dragon cares for her as a mother. Well played, One Eye. Well played. That is the right thing to say. Massima says she is blessed among women, etc., etc. The light has sent her to serve the Lord Dragon. She's like, okay, but I need to go downriver for the Lord Dragon to Tyr, where he is. Massima is like, okay, fine. Well, if the Lord Dragon called for you, then you probably should go. So I'll try to find you a boat, but you should dress more appropriately, which is great. So then they leave, and Uno is quite upset with her, just like, why did you shoot your mouth off like that? So Reagan agrees and says Massima had some lady beheaded for saying something like that, saying this Randall 4 in Massima's hearing. And Uno's like, well, no, she didn't get beheaded, but only because she groveled for mercy when he realizes she meant to do it, when she realizes he meant to do it. So instead, she got flogged.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's nice.
Right. So Nynaeve says, at least she didn't try to steal my jewelry like that other lady. Who was that? Uno responds, that was Aleandra, blessed of the light, queen of bloody Gildan. Uno says she wore jewelry because she knows he might demand more if she stopped. And apparently she was fourth in line to the throne when they first showed up in Gildan, pretty much thanks to sort of backstabbing in the Game of Houses. That she took the throne on the edge of civil war, White Cloaks ready to sort of move in and settled things down the only way she could, which was by kind of getting close to Massima. And so it's like, well, you can kind of see how she got there. And if it was the only thing she could do to survive, fair enough. Then Uno notices that there's a white cloak following them, and it's Galad. So chapter 40, the wheel weaves, which, not a very specific chapter title as things go. So Nynaeve, let's try to ditch this guy, and no luck. He might be rigid as all get out, but he's clearly formidable, as we've seen before. So he ends up following them down an alley. Reagan and Uno whip out their swords as he advances, and Nynaeve grinds her teeth and is mad enough that she could definitely channel if she wanted to. And really, I've just got to say, this whole business of sneaking around and not channeling gets old sometimes.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I guess it allows for interactions that wouldn't always occur like this one.
Well, it's kind of the whole modern horror movie cabin in the woods situation where you have to create a reason why they can't just call the police. So whether it's there's no cell phone reception or their cell phone battery dies,
Black Aja,
whatever. Yeah. So that's kind of a similar thing.
Yeah, sure.
Make
the
it
Forsaken are coming. The Forsaken are coming.
Make it a little more interesting.
Yeah, I get that. So Nynaeve asks Galad, what the heck are you doing here? And he says he had orders for Saladar, which changed when this prophet fellow, what is the matter? Are you unwell? And of course, he says that when it smacks Nynaeve in the face. Of course, Saladar, that's where they need to go. But she plays it off. She's like, I'm good. I just, as Elaine would say, some bad apple jelly,
Yeah. Bad apple jelly.
Then Galad does something that surprises her. He offers to get her a boat. He says, I can't leave because my duty is here, so it's the least I can do for you.
Duty.
And so she... What about the white cloaks, though? She asks. So shouldn't you be trying to kill me and Elaine? And this, really offends Galad. It hurts his feelings. He says, how often must I tell you I would never let harm come to my sister or to you? It's like, how dare you even suggest such a thing?
Yeah.
He asks where she is staying, and the only reason she decides to tell him is that Amadicia is on the other side of the river, the only place where it is a crime for a woman to channel. So her calculus is, it's not technically illegal for me to be here, so I can tell you. So he wants to get her a room. She's like, no. He wants to escort her back to the menagerie, and she says no because it would draw attention. So, so basically, at this point, Galad turns to Reagan and Uno and says, "Hear me, Shanarans," he said, turning his head, and suddenly his voice was steel. "I am Galadredrid. Man, that's a tough name to say. I am Galadredrid Demadred, and this woman is under my protection. As for her companion, I would count it small loss to die in order to save her the smallest harm. If you allow either of them to come to the smallest harm, I will find you and kill you." Okay, Galad. Great speech there, buddy.
Like how the way that you said Galad's name, it sounds like trying to start
a lawnmower.
Galadredred. Galadredred.
It does. Yeah, especially with his last name too. Man, golly. Yeah. Just call him, change his name to Mr. Lawnmower. So, the Shanarans want to go with her to find Rand. They just said, "Hey, we don't have anything better to do. Let's go with you." But it's the twist is it's not just the two of them. There are 15 Shanarans.
Oh.
This kind of throws Nynaeve off for a second. She realizes that having a contingent of Shanarans could help change their situation. They could even leave now if they wanted, but probably not because it would be kind of obvious to Moghedien. So she just says, "All right, just come by the menagerie every night just after dark. Ask for Nana, unless the riverboat shows up, in which case, come tell me right now." So Uno says, "Why do we flaming have to keep away?" And she says, "We don't want you to draw attention." So Nynaeve heads back to the menagerie, meets up with Elaine and Birgitta. There's a new performer that Luca has hired after a mob destroyed another menagerie that had been rumored to have an Aes Sedai in it. But then Elaine tells Nynaeve that Luca went looking for her and Tom and Julin. Whoops, didn't think through that, did you? Should have told somebody. So Nynaeve casually tells them that Masima and Galad are both looking for a boat for them. But then we get a truly rare moment.
I'm sure that there's nothing crazy that will happen because these two politically opposed forces, both with armies, are looking for a boat for them.
Right. Oh, Nynaeve did not think through this.
Yes.
So then we get a truly rare moment. Nynaeve admits to Elaine that she was wrong. Should have talked to Elaine before going off adventuring. Just a moment. It's like, wow, you should do that more often, Nynaeve.
Yeah, it's good.
So then she stands at the board while Birgitta pretty much creates an outline of her in arrows to applause. Then Uno shows up that night. And Nynaeve says, "Push them to find the boat. I can't keep doing this. This is driving me crazy." Back to Rand, chapter 41. At last, I said it was going to be a while, and it was. Chapter 41, The Craft of the Kentovir, which is a very grand-sounding title for a chapter.
Mm-hmm.
But we are back to Rand. Realize it's been a while since perspective. He's holding his cool new Shan-Chan spear scepter thing, looking down at 3 separate camps 5 miles from Cairhien. He's got Defenders of the Stone, some Tyrant, some Cairhienin. They all ostensibly report to Weramon, but don't get along.
Mm-hmm.
And so Weramon, we haven't had too much on him lately. Clearly the man has cojones. He just doesn't understand why Rand won't let him just go take care of this Shido problem all on his own. Just, we'll mop him up. I'll take care of it without any IO help. Clearly delusional, but, not liking for courage. Something to be said,
hey,
I guess.
Yeah, I guess so.
"My Lord Dragon," he began in a gravelly bark. "One good charge will scatter them like quail." An idiot, but a courageous idiot. Anyway, gravelly bark. I like that. It's good. And Rand isn't paying very much attention because Aviendha smiles at him. So that's a change, though. Huh? She's not giving him a tongue lashing. She's actually smiling at him. He says that she has stopped berating him every chance she gets, except the one time he brought up marriage again. Just like, stop it. But friendly otherwise. So one of the tree chiefs named Mengen asked Rand if he wants to go try to catch sheep in a sack.
Is that a euphemism?
I know, right? But Rand realizes he's talking about the tyrants because they're just ridiculous.
Oh, okay.
But fair. So on one hill, they've built a framework of logs platform, which is the purpose of which is not immediately clear. As Rand is walking up to it, he bumps into Egwene, who reluctantly agrees to help Rand in the fighting. It wasn't a sure thing, but since she's accepted and not bound by the three oaths, she can. So it's okay. And she's going to help. So Moraine asks, why are you wearing a sword again? Fair question, man. He's like, why shouldn't I? And then we're introduced to a bald man in great fashion. He says, easy with it. Easy, I said, you motherless weasels. knock a lens out of alignment and I will knock your brainless head backwards to front.
Motherless weasels. Yeah. Those are the worst kind of weasels.
They really are. They have a bad attitude,
Yeah.
But this problem is the schools.
Really. Well, and they just don't have manners because they didn't have their mom around, really.
Yeah, exactly.
I blame society.
That's a fair point. I think it's a good call. Weasel society, at least. So this guy's name is Kentovir. So the title of the chapter was kind of confusing. I was thinking it was going to be like a guild, but no, it's just this one bald dude. But he's a craftsman who makes lenses and looking glasses. So the purpose is revealed, of course. This is a way for Rand and company to see what's going on in Cairhien, and also see what the Shido are up to. So on that note, Rand sees a group of Aiel, which include Couladin, but he can't, do anything about it because they're so far away because he sees them through the looking glass. Then suddenly one goes down thrashing, taken out by a spear, but Rand doesn't know who threw it. So that's just kind of left up in the air for now. Chapter 42, Before the Arrow.
Before the Arrow, of course, was the prequel to Broken Arrow, the
right
Travolta movie in the 90s.
Exactly. Hey, it's Matt. It's a Matt chapter. I haven't seen those pips at the start of a chapter in a while either.
Look at that.
Been a while. But he is intently scheming, trying to figure out a way to get out of Dodge before the big fight that is coming. But this it seems like the next few chapters clearly a turning point for Matt, whether he likes it or not. I mean, he's still Matt, he's still the gambler, but he gets to learn an object lesson about what Rand means about not trying to resist the patterns planned for him. Can't escape destiny. Anyway, won't get too far into that. I know we will be talking about that soon, but it is just interesting to see the lead up to it. Matt thinks he'll make for Cairhien or Camelin or maybe Lugard. Spends time kind of rationalizing his decision to leave. Not like I was abandoning him,
Anywhere from here, he's just a small town boy,
right.
Living in a lonely world.
Yeah. I was listening to I was trying Pandora. I had a free month of Pandora, and Pandora is awful now. I don't know what happened. It used to be great, but it was a radio station, and I mean, okay, I listen to some trashy music sometimes. For Post Malone, the guy with the tattoos on his face,
right? Of course.
And it popped up Journey. It's like, okay, I'm sorry. Like, I love Journey as much as the next person, but that should not be in Post Malone radio. Just full stop.
They are pretty different. Post Malone is like the human personification of meth. And,
yes, yeah, that's fair.
Journey is one of the great, completely commercially constructed bands of the 80s. Currently,
they have a Filipino person singing for him now.
Yeah, I don't think he even actually speaks English. He just
that's awesome.
I'm pretty sure that at least he didn't when he started with them.
Sure. That's kind of like Ozzy, Like Ozzy, just can't talk, but then he starts singing and
that's true.
Magic happens. Yeah. Journey. So Matt goes looking for Rand to tell him that I'm done. But instead finds Jason the Tail in Rand's tent, who says, Rand's out. I don't know what he's doing. He'll be back sooner or later. Matt's like, I'll wait. So there's just kind of this awkward moment, like, okay, I don't really know you. We're sitting here together, and
I picture a wide shot of the two of them sitting on opposite sides of a room, just kind of
right,
like looking at each other.
Some elevator music, maybe. Something. Right. So then Matt breaks the awkwardness by noticing there are two maps spread out near the fire pit, and darn it, he just can't help himself. He that or all the dead military leaders' experience just has to escape from his head. Right. Then Lan walks in, is he stalking him? And that says, a pretty situation, wouldn't you say? So then he turns to Natail and says, what do you think? Should we just sweep in and take Couladin out tomorrow? And Natail's like, I don't know. I'm not a military man, but that sounds good. Matt kind of gives a grunt, and Lan's like, oh, you don't agree. What do you think we should do? What do you think, Mr. Gambling Man?
It seems like Lan is kind of he may not know exactly what's going on with Matt, but he seems to know something is going on.
Yeah, he really does
with Matt here, because he's really baiting him in this conversation.
Exactly. And Matt rises to the challenge. He says, no, we should not do that. And 2 reasons. One, you might crush Couladin against the city, which could work, or you might push him into the city, and fighting in the city would be no bueno. So it'd be better to sweep around behind him and push him away, wave coming from the south. And the other reason is that if even one clan, one of the 6 clans that isn't, or 4, whatever it is, that isn't with Rand joins Couladin, they will just destroy Rand's army from behind. So you got to take that into account. So he pretty much lays out the plan that they're going to do, after looking at the map for a minute. So then Rand shows up, and Matt's like, oh, wait, I need to talk to you. I am out of here. Just expecting Rand to try to talk him out of it. And Rand's like, I'm sorry to see you go, but do what you got to do. Perrin went when he had to, so will you,
Don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you.
Exactly. So Matt sets off whistling Dance with Jack of the Shadows and is just ready to get out. So then after he leaves, Lan tells Rand that Matt literally had laid out Ruark's plan, which they had been developing over however long, after just looking at the map for a few minutes. So Rand's like, interesting. Tells Jason Natail to play March of Death, which sounds like just a happy little ditty, and then tells Lan to send the clan chiefs in. Apparently, the March of Death is so sad that it just makes people want to cry just listening to it, which is something interesting. So I think that brings us to the end of that section, perhaps.
Alrighty. Well, once again, thanks for joining us for this episode. If you have thoughts, corrections, comments, or other considerations to make, visit our website at tsmpodcast.com. Fill out a contact form, say something nice, and we'll give you a shout out. Say a correction, and we'll make a correction in a future episode. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, on Facebook at Podcast TSM, all of those. And find us on YouTube. You'll have to search for us. And follow us or subscribe to us to help us get to 100 subscribers so we can get that custom URL. That would be a huge help to us. Next time we'll be continuing on in Chapter 50 of Fires of Heaven. Until then, Tai'Shar Manetheren.